In this lesson, we look at some of the settings and considerations particular to targeting Adobe Air for desktop. So here I have my content open, and over on the side we can see that in my document settings, I'm targeting Air 3.2 for desktop. So let's actually click this little wrench right here to edit our application settings. So these are our Air settings, and here we can specify what we want the actual file to be called. So publishing in this case is the name of the FLA, so it's going to have that by default. I've just appended a little version number at the end of this. And on desktop, we're going to be publishing to a .air file, so long as we're outputting as an Air package. Now, an Air package can be installed across both Windows and Mac OS, so it's a totally cross-platform package. However, we can also output as specifically a Windows installer if you're on Windows, or a Mac installer if you're on Mac. And also, we can choose to create the application with the runtime embedded. So this is going to basically bundle the entire Air runtime in with our application for distribution. So the user wouldn't have to actually have the Air runtime installed separately on their machine, which is a good convenience. It adds a little bit of bulk to the actual distributable package, but it's not too bad really. So we can give the app a name here, so something like publish example version 1, we can change that to 0.8. And then an app ID, and they show you here that it's normally a reverse domain sort of thing, so com.josephlebrec.publish example. So something like that. We can provide a description and a copyright if we want to. And we can choose things about the Air application, such as whether we want it to be system Chrome, opaque or transparent custom Chrome. And we can choose the render mode for this, so whether it's auto, CPU, or direct. If you're using Stage 3D or Stage Video, you're going to want to make sure to choose direct for render mode. Profiles are sort of like target devices. So do we want to target desktop, mobile devices, TVs, extended desktop, extended mobile device, and extended TV? So here we can choose these options. When things say extended, that would be the case if we were choosing an installer that's particular to an operating system. And then we can include a variety of files. Here I've got my SWF and my XML file, which is our manifest file. Every Air application has a manifest file that goes with it that describes certain attributes of the application. All right, so let's go to the Signature tab. Here we can actually sign using a code signing certificate that you can get from a code signing authority, or you can create a self-signed certificate by simply hitting this create button here, filling out this information, and then just putting in your password right here. You can also create an AIRI file, which is an intermediate Air file that can be signed later on. On the icons page here, this is actually editing our manifest XML file that I mentioned earlier. And here we can define icons for our particular operating system. We're targeting Windows here, so 16, 32, 48, and 128 are the different icon sizes we could find. And when we choose any of these icons and assign them to these 4 categories, we can look at a preview of how that icon would look in this window here. In the advanced settings, we can associate different file types with this application and provide file type icons for each one. So this is pretty interesting. If you're running an application where you've got like a certain file extension that you've created for that application, you could actually have the file associated with the application. And what would happen is that every time anybody would double click on that particular file extension, it would open up your Air application. So pretty cool. Here are our initial Windows settings. So width, height, X and Y properties. And we've also got maximum width and height and minimum width and height. We can choose whether to make these windows maximizable, minimizable, resizable, and whether they're initially visible or not. We can choose an install folder, program menu folder, and choose to use a custom UI for updates. So all of these settings on this page, as well as the icons page, are things that are controlled through the manifest file. So when we hit OK, or if we change any of this stuff, it'll actually write to the manifest file for us. So when we want to publish, we can go File, Publish. Okay, so it tells us our area file is created. And if we look here in the particular folder that we published to, we can see there definitely is our area file right there. So this has been a demonstration of how to target Air 3.2 for desktop using Flash Professional CS6.